Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful guest is Sharon Cusack. I'm going to be talking about a very juicy topic today, your health. End chronic pain now. Gosh, isn't those magic words? We would all like to end our chronic pain. She says, discover the power of resilience and healing as she shares her personal journey of overcoming decades of chronic pain, life-altering injuries, and health challenges. Despite the obstacles, she never gave up, turning her struggles into a mission to reduce pain and suffering for others. With over 40 years of studying health and refining transformative healing practices, she's dedicated her life to empowering individuals to reclaim their vitality and well-being. So we are going to be learning today how to practice these strategies and the step to take to a pain-free world. She's an integrative health coach and body work intuitive. She works and specializes in transformative health, restorative practices, and as a master practitioner in restorative, getting around that word today, bodywork and energy medicine specialist. And she empowers healing and balance through holistic approaches. And we're going to be talking about overcoming childhood traumas, life-threatening infections, a spinal injury, intestinal challenges that fuels her resilience and ability to connect deeply with her clients. I always say the people that have gone through hell, are the angels on the other side. Because when people have really gone through it, they truly understand what the struggle is. But the reason why this genre is called Your Health is Your Choice, because ultimately it is. We don't always choose what's given to us or what happens to us, or we don't understand why. But it is up to us to do our own investigation as what we can do to be the healing. You are the instrument of the healing. But ultimately, people have got to want to be healed and apply it themselves. So, welcome to the show, Sharon.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. And I am overjoyed to be here today and honored to be talking about this such a passionate subject to me.
Mm,
It really comes down to self-empowerment.
yeah,
And when we have the knowledge, then we can make the choices. And what I feel is happening within this system that we're living in is that there's so much that is not given to us.
mm,
And we are left in a situation where we feel disempowered, where
yeah,
we feel that we don't have a choice, and the choices that are laid out for us aren't really optimal. And
mm-mm,
that's really what my mission has been because of my own journey, because of the spinal injury and the digestives and the traumas and all of these things that impact us at such a high level. And then we're sitting in a situation where we're suffering so truly and wholly, and it becomes what we are. We
yeah,
become the suffering, we
mm,
become the pain, we become whatever the label is that we've been given. And that is no way to live
no.
because we deserve better. And
Oh
that's
boy, do
really,
we.
yes, we do.
Yes, yes. And the thing is again, why, your health is your choice is, and then people, well, I didn't ask for this or I didn't ask for that. And we don't realize that subliminally through the trauma, through the environment, through the diet of not only what we intake in food, what we take atmospherically, what we take vibrationally, what we take, from words that are said to us, our environment, we're digesting all of that. And that is disconglomerating our equilibrium inside of us, and that's what then produces disease. And we it's hard to say to someone we've got to take accountability for what happens to us, but ultimately, if we do the background and look at it, but how did this happen, where did this happen, what can I empower myself to do about it first in the mind, to
Yes.
then investigate to what you need for the body, because if you don't include the mind, it's not going to cooperate with the body. So for
Yeah.
you, back injury, stomach injury, trauma, what roads did you take initially to get help? And what point was it when it's like, I'm not getting help in the right directions, I've got to look elsewhere?
Well, it's really interesting, and thank you for the question. I kind of block my life into two components. One before my spinal injury at the age of 40, and one after. There's a real crossroads there as far as the impact of these various things that happened to me. And the first half of my life was really affected by an appendix. And I was 13 years old. And I had my one and only appendix attack the night before my second oldest brother's wedding, and I'm the youngest of 8 children. I decided that what I would do is sit in a corner and suffer for 4 days because I did not want to disturb the
Oh, yeah.
festivities associated with my brother's wedding. And I suffered dearly. And then by the time I went to the hospital, my appendix had ruptured and it was rotting in my stomach. And it was a very serious situation.
I'm
And that
surprised you're alive. Most people do not live through that.
No, no, absolutely not. And I was like hours away from,
Yeah.
basically blood poisoning. And
Mm.
and that in itself was such a horrendous recovery because they had to leave the incision open and flush me out. And I'm in this teaching hospital, all these interns coming in. And I was 13 years old, and it was
Yes.
it was a really big turning point as far as my health goes. But what
But
the
also
gift
very
was,
intrusive. Very
yeah,
intrusive. Yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
very intrusive and very painful.
Mm.
And I challenged my pain levels. So then I learned at a very young age that I have a extremely high threshold of pain. And
Yeah.
they're a gift, but it can also be,
Yeah.
not so big of a gift. And it almost cost me my life. And
Mm.
then the other factors that come into play in regards to the emotional components as I reflect back on it is that I was a good girl and I
Mm.
decided not to disturb anything. And it
Mm.
almost cost me my life.
Mm.
Children should be seen and not heard, and all these other
Yes.
things that come
Yes.
into play. And then I realized, you know what? I needed to say something. And I didn't because I didn't have a voice in this
Mm.
crazy family of 8 children and being the youngest
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
all. And I didn't have a voice. And
Uh-huh.
and then as I moved forward from that recovery, what it did was one of the biggest gift is that it created such an interest in the human body.
Hmm.
And when I went into high school, because I was just going into grade 9 when that happened, and then when I went into high school, I became enamored with biology and chemistry. And it really was, I just loved it. I loved anatomy, I loved chemistry, I loved all of what it was, what it represented, and how it became the anatomy. Oh my goodness, the body. And then I investigated it and realized that my lifelong mission would be a natural health practitioner. I couldn't go into the box of being a doctor or a
Yeah.
nurse. I felt inherently that I wasn't set up for that. I was set
Mm.
up for something else. And then,
Too inquisitive.
yeah, very, very. And then as I move forward, the repercussions of what that ended up entailing for my system, from that heavy duty antibiotics as far as yeast infection, the disruption of the microbiome at the intestinal level, my digestion, all of these things ended up producing hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
And I had hypoglycemia when I was in my mid-20s so bad that it really was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it was crazy. And I just got married, and then I was living in Edmonton. I started going to a naturopath because I realized that there was something really seriously wrong. And the Western world didn't have anything to offer me.
No.
Not at all. And then that really dove me even deeper, it dove me into this real study of natural remedies. And I started eating organics, and then I ended up miscarrying, and I had 3 miscarriages.
Oh,
And then I carried my daughter, and then I ended up with staph infection in my uterus. And that was another turning point as far as what was going on. And then I played it forward. I really didn't recognize. I mean, I ate well and I did
hmm.
exercised, and not to the point, not to the degree of today, because I
Hmm.
fine-tuned it. Then when I was 40, I got into a car accident and I had a spinal injury, very serious spinal injury. And I didn't walk properly for 4 years,
Wow.
5 years actually. And um and that was another turning point because now I had an injury. Now I had pain and pain beyond the measurable of pain. I mean, I would go into the doctor's office and they would say to me, because I corkscrewed my sacrum at the third lumbar. So it was a very serious systemic injury of my spine. And it felt like basically I'd go into the doctor's office and he would say, "So what, how are you as far as pain between 1 and 10?" And I would say, 10? I said, I've
Hmm.
never made a pain scale of 1 to 10. Has never been in pain.
Mm.
Mine's like the Gretzky scale, the 99, because I grew up in Edmonton. I would be, and I'm at 100. And,
Yes.
and my doctor would look at me and I would go, "You know what? It feels like a dog is gnawing on my tailbone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what it feels like." And he'd go like, "Whoa." And then as I played forward and really dove deep into, because it was Chinese medicine that ended up getting me to walk properly because
Hmm.
there's nothing in the modalities. And it was just stubbornness, absolute stubbornness, because I was looking at a wheelchair and I knew if I got in, I'd never get out.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
I actually went to a psychic to get her to give me some options as far as what I needed to do. She sent me to this woman that was in Nanaimo, was where I live in Nanaimo, British Columbia. And then she said, "You need to go see that guy." And it was China West, and it was a doctor of Chinese medicine. And he gave me hope. And
Mm.
he worked on me because now it was a year and a half after I was injured. And he worked on me for 3.5 years and got me walking properly. But that wasn't the end of it. But what he did was he gave me hope. And that is such a gift when you are in a situation like that, where you feel that there's no avenues to turn. There's no surgery, there's no medicine, there's no anything. And the only medicine that was offered to me was painkillers. Well, you know what? I valued my health to not
Hmm.
get hooked on painkillers. And I knew that I couldn't live this way for the rest of my life. And I was 40 years old. So when I was about 40, about a year and a half after I was injured, that's when I discovered a doctor of Chinese medicine. And we talked a lot about scar tissue. And that was such a difficult thing for him to break through because now we're dealing with scar tissue. And he managed to get my sacrum to sit properly and to get me to be able to walk properly. However, there was a lot of issues, a lot of calcification, a lot of binding up the spine, and still pain pumping up through my spinal cord. And as I moved forward, I just kept refining it. Went to another doctor of Chinese medicine. He gave me herbs. I had medicinal centipedes floating in my pot. I had medicinal scorpions floating in my pot. Oh yeah, I did it all. And I learned about it. And it became part of my life. So I studied Chinese medicine. I dove deep into that because anytime I was working on something within myself, I dove so deep into it so I could understand it, so I could truly go within and have an understanding as far as what it was doing for me and how I could affect other people. And I just kept, my inquisitive mind just kept filing this and moving forward. When I got injured, I decided to study for my nutritional consultant certification because I wanted to keep my mind active. So I dove into that. So I dove into my healing, dove into this, just like really just said, hey. And then as I moved forward, then I started to learn about how to use body work to manipulate scar tissue and to open up the scarring that is created from inflamed tissue. Because anytime tissue, connective tissue gets inflamed, it gets sticky and it,
Yes.
it goes like this and it binds. And then we end up with the knots here
Yep.
or bound erector spinae muscles that bind to the spine itself and that it creates or it binds around nerves. And we end up with sciatica or nerve pain in the hand because it's trapped within the shoulder.
Yep.
And the bottom line is there's nothing in the so-called healthcare system that we have that can address that because they can't go in and chop it out because then they create more of it
Yep.
and they can't use any other modalities and there is nowhere to turn and
Hmm.
that is
I know.
where I am right now. I'm a good place to turn. to and to give people hope. And that fills my spirit to absolute overbrimming.
When you know, as I said, that's the reason why you don't take that medical route. You know, you're far too inquisitive. You know, I want to know, I want to know. And we need people like you, I want to know. Because it's when we go to a mechanic and we say, look, I've got a ding in the car, I don't know where it's coming from, and we assume the mechanic's going to find out what it is. We go to a doctor and say, I've got this pain, but the pain is a symptom of what the problem is. And they're not trained to go to the root of the cause. They're just trying to stop the pain. And when you're looking at Chinese medicine, which became a huge curing for me, and when you look at many other modalities, they, especially acupuncture, it's root. Everything is root. Get down to the root of it all. But yes, I have endometriosis, which is scar tissue from a C-section and a fall afterwards, splitting my stitches open, which then caused that problem. And it's and my fascial pain, which again is all the fiber optics going through the body being blocked through tissue or whatever in the way. You try talking about that with your doctor and it doesn't know what the hell you're talking about, right? But so this is why the show's called Your Health is Your Choice, because we've got to understand there is always an answer out there. There's always someone like you that's taken the journey because of your own struggles, that you have found the solutions that work. And, as I said, you're now the angel for other people that are going through it because, as you said, oh, there's hope. I don't have to live in pain for the rest of my life. There is an answer. There is something we can do about it. And you may not be the 100% you were at 20, but you're going to be as pain-free as you possibly can be and back to being mobile, back to being a human being again. And there's so many people that are struggling every single day that I want to have a quality of life. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that, but I can't. And they don't know why. And the doctors, bless their hearts, they've all got their purpose, but they're limited. They're limited in what they are even allowed to practice because it is about pushing procedures and drugs. And so even if they are holistic, they're limited to what they can say before they get into trouble, especially in America. So it's something where we do have to take that onus, like there's got to be an answer. How do I find it? And that's why you listen to podcasts like this, to find someone like Sharon who can help you with that. Unblocking scar tissue. Chi energy cannot get through scar tissue. And when you unblock that, all of a sudden there's energy flowing through there, right? And that's kind of what we're looking at is releasing the energy. Because when our body is properly fluid and energized, it can go.
That's right. And there's a Chinese proverb that says that a superior doctor prevents illness, a
Yes,
mediocre doctor tends to illness, and
yes.
an inferior doctor treats illness.
Hmm.
The thing is that that's what this is. And
Yeah.
as you were speaking, is that it just came to light because I work with a lot of seniors. And
Mm.
these seniors have worked all their lives. It's like,
Yeah,
I want to retire. I'm going to retire, Freedom 55 or 60
yeah.
or whatever it is. And then they become that age. And then all the trials and tribulations of what's going on with their body because they maybe physically worked hard and so
Hmm.
they created inflammation and joints, and you see men all the time and even women because they're doing physical work as well. And then now they've overburdened certain joints within, and then now they have a shoulder pain that is debilitating, and now they can't even enjoy their beautiful retirement
No?
that they worked 40 years to obtain.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they suffer. And the bottom line is that the allopathic medical world that we live in, there's two options. One is pharmaceuticals and the
Hmm.
other is surgery. And there is a place for it. It's
Yes.
acute care. So if my
Yeah.
heart stops, then I can go and I can get, a stent put in or whatever it is. I break my leg and I go get it set. I mean, the doctors saved my life from what they ended up doing.
Hmm.
However, the bottom line is that they could not address and could not prevent me from having all of those issues
Hmm.
associated with my digestion, my intestinal health, all of these things, because antibiotics hit
Yes.
the large intestine. They create
Hmm.
scar tissue in the large intestine. And so the large intestine gets bombarded and it doesn't work well.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
exactly. And so we have these binding of tissues because when you're talking about the free flow of energy,
Hmm.
When a cell, so let's go back to the cell. The cell is the building block of our body. When there is inflammation, that cell creates a protective casing around the outside, a form of contraction that protects it from the inflammation.
Mm.
It walls itself off. It's just like cancer. It walls itself off because it's protecting itself and it doesn't want anything else to get in because it's a life of its own. Well, and at the cellular level, it's a life of its own. And what that does is that prevents from the free flow of
Mm-hmm.
energy, the free flow of oxygen, of
Mm-hmm.
blood, of nutrients
Mm-hmm.
in and out of the cell wall. It's called electroporation. And that is the frequency. And when those cells start binding and then it makes the connective tissue sticky and they start binding, then you start creating those walls, the dams in the river.
Yes.
And that is what Chinese medicine addresses is the dams in the river. They want the river to flow. So the
Mm-hmm.
chi flows, the energy flows, the blood flows, our life force flows.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start depleting that, then you start with cognitive issues. You start with all of these things where you feel depressed, and then you go to a doctor, and they give you antidepressants, and then you can't feel, and then it just becomes this channel of no return. And then
Yes.
you get to the point where, then you decide to do medical assisted.
Chop it all off. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of the Monty Python movie, the soldier on the bridge. You can't go through, and they chop his legs off and his arms off. And when you look at it, it's a tiny little step over the river. And it's like, you didn't have to go to that extreme. And that's the point. You don't have to go to that extreme. Is that absolutely everything in life must have flow. It
Yeah.
must have energy. As you said, the blood and the oxygen in our body is there for a reason. It's there to keep things in flow, to feed everything. If it's blocked, it can't give us nutrition. It can't support us. And so many people that are living with chronic pain, the indication is that something's not in flow. Where's the blockage? And we don't realize how much personal trauma, never mind physical trauma, personal trauma, mental trauma causes blockages, causes things to stir up. I had a wonderful host on here for the first 5 years. She retired at 82, called Suma Nathan, and her shows were Wise Health, still a good one to listen to. But she would always say the endocrine system, liver, kidney, and colon are the three most important organs because if they're not functioning properly, they're going to cause everything else to fail. And it's so very true, isn't it? And we just don't look at it that way. We don't look at things as being in flow. And that's, I think, kind of if you get your mind around, I want to be in flow, then you start kind of acknowledging where the blockage is in your body.
That's right. One of my favorite sayings that I came up with is grow with the flow. And
Mm.
it really is the ability to grow your spirit, grow your energy, grow your vitality, grow whatever it is that you want to grow. And if you're sitting under this shroud of pain, because pain takes energy.
Oh boy, does it.
And when you talk about Chinese medicine, you talk about the qi, and you go to sleep. If you're in chronic pain, you go to sleep at night, try to re-energize yourself and heal. And you go to sleep, and then you wake up, and and then you go through your day in chronic pain. You're never recharging yourself. So
Yeah.
you're only sitting at a half a cord or a quarter of a cord
Yes.
of energy and of life force vitality when you're in consistent pain. And it depletes you. It's like drawing something from you consistently, and you just can't function properly. And when I
Ah,
work with my clients and I speak to them and I say, you know what? I know what being in
yeah.
pain feels like. I know
Mm.
it. I've been there. I understand it. I truly do. And that is such a huge revelation when that can take place. And
Yes.
when you're talking about cutting things off, I have a client of mine that had a partial mastectomy 25 years ago, and she was, bombarded with radiation and chemotherapy.
Mm.
And she had such scar tissue around her breast that was remaining and was on her right side. Thank goodness she's left-handed. And what happened with all the scar tissue, it started entrapping the renal and the ulnar nerve, and slowly her fingers on her right hand started to get numb and tingly. And then for 8 years, her right hand has been on fire with nerve pain, on fire. She has to wear a ice mitt like all day from the moment. Thank goodness she isn't in pain. The only time she's not in pain is when she's sleeping, and the doctors can't believe it. And
Mm,
thank goodness. And so when she wakes up in the morning, she puts this ice mitt on her hand. And I've been working with her because I have this beautiful energy wave machine that breaks down that inflammatory bubble and opens up the free flow of energy and breaks open the scar tissue. And I've been working with her, and we're now getting, she can now squeeze her middle finger, and we're revitalizing her arm.
mm,
It was basically dying. And what the
yeah.
Western world wanted to do was cut off her arm.
And I know somebody who's had their hand cut off because it's something that went wrong actually, and because this woman, what hasn't happened to her is just unbelievable. She's literally mechanical. She has to plug herself in to go, and her
Oh,
hand ended up like this as a claw, and they cut it off. Um, so yeah, it's heartbreaking when you hear that, but um, people don't understand that if you don't unblock the blockage, the tissue dies.
that's right.
Right. And that is the problem. Now, when you talked about energy, I've had fibromyalgia diagnosed 27 years ago. I've probably had it a good 30. And you were talking about energy. And this is something that's so hard to get people to understand. So I draw the analogy of the phone. As your phone gets older, you have to charge it up so much more often because the battery depletes too quickly. And that is anybody living with fibro or many other diseases as well. Your energy depletes. Well, you look okay. I may look okay, but in actual fact, I'm at 0.50 there, and everything's going to shut down in a moment. And it is, and then what happens with fibro, your whole body seizes right up. You're cardboard and you can't move. But that lack of energy is so, I would say, kind of despairing at times
Oh,
because
yeah.
you want to do so much and you can't. I've got
Yes.
two grandchildren. Nana, get down on the floor with me. I can't. I can't get on the floor because I can't get back up. There's just, I can't, and he doesn't understand. Why can't Nana? His other Nana can. Why can't this Nana? Right? So I know what it's like to live constantly in pain and constantly without energy. Do you deal with patients with fibromyalgia? Because there are so many people diagnosed with it today.
I do actually. And what it is that it's your body's in an inflammatory
Yeah.
response. And anytime there's inflammation, it creates contraction.
Hmm.
Cellular level within the fascia. So now you've got the fascia because it's systemic. I mean, the fascia is everywhere. I mean, they used to, when they did abdominal surgery, just throw that stuff out. That they just now they recognize that it's the largest, other than the skin, an organ of the body,
Yes.
that it has value. It has
Yes.
neurotransmitters within it. And
Yes.
yes, what I can do is I can work with people with the energy wave technology that I have, and it goes in and it uses electromagnetic energy, which is the similar energy of what we are because we
Mm,
are electromagnetic beings. That's why grounding is so important, where we go stand out on the earth, because they actually have studies as to how the blood decoagulates the moment that you stand on, like they can't even figure out how fast it is because it is so fast. As
mm.
soon as you stand on the earth and you ground yourself, then it starts opening up the blood.
That
And
makes sense though, but look at our trees, look at everything that grows,
yeah,
right? It's growing in the soil that they're all energetically supporting each other. There's a whole matrix going on underneath there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm,
And what I can do is I can use this beautiful machine, and it has a wand, and it transmits the electromagnetic energy through water, and it has a ceramic head. So it looks very similar to like an ultrasound head.
hmm.
And then I can actually go into the body on various areas, and I can start opening up the contraction that is created at the cellular level. So now you've got free flow and the body starts rejuvenating itself. Because when you have the mitochondria that's so sluggish from
Hmm.
inflammation, and then you have the contractor bubble that's created like an eggshell, and then so it can open it up and start allowing the contraction to be reduced systemically and then reduce the pain. And then now I'm not healing the body, the cells are, because
Hmm.
everything's at the cellular level. So
You're
this,
supporting the cells so they can go to work,
that's right.
right? You're
Right.
giving them the energy that it needs.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that's what it is. And it is amazing. I don't have, all I say to people is that when they come to me, that I can guarantee that you will feel different than when you left. I'll
Yeah.
never say that I'll resolve the whole issue.
Yeah.
I had this elderly fellow, and I knew that I could help him because he had had a stroke about 6 or 7 years before that. And I said, you know what? I will come and I will do a treatment on you. And if you don't feel any different, you don't have to pay me because I
Hmm.
knew that I needed to, because people get, they get, yeah,
Oh,
everybody.
it's woo woo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. To me, it's not about the money. It's about reducing the pain and
Yes.
reducing the suffering because that's my mission. And I know
That's a
that.
different form of e-commerce, right? Right. It's a different currency altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing his spine and I did his lower back and I can do all the way up and onto the skull cap
Hmm.
because the energy waves, because it goes in as a focused energy, it will go in into the brain too as well and start revitalizing and breaking down the plaque that's filling in the crevasses of the brain that's preventing the synapses. And he got up off the bed and he was like Superman. And I did take, it was like so funny because he was like absolutely energetic. And then he had another treatment, excuse me, after that. And excuse me, and all he wanted was to get into a relationship. And now he's in a relationship and the guy's like just moving and shaking. And it's because what it did, it was revitalize that whole spinal canal and into his brain. And now he was free flowing.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, talking about, the spinal, people don't realize chakras are
Yeah.
like the spine alignment, right? And it's like even when you take a deep breath and your whole body, sits up better, it allows the chakras to open up, the energy to open up. And even when you're craving certain color foods, it's generally that chakra that needs to be fed. And you can correlate it with the body. Okay, what part of the body is in trouble? This is where we really need to kind of be a little more educated on what can help me. What,
Yeah.
the foods, the attitude, the the treatments that I can do. And of course, things being in water, water is a conduit. Right.
Yes.
So it just transmits even better. This is why tapping in the shower and all sorts of things like this are really, really good because that water really helps with it. Considering you've just gained a client, by the way. Well, I'm in the limo as well. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of living like this, so I need help. But yes, working with the head and the spine, or everything goes just like from my head right down to the rest of our body. So go to the message center, release the message center, and it will start communicating with the rest of the body.
Yes.
I remember going to a pain clinic, and what they would do is they would just take one part. And I've had concussion, I've had car accidents and things like that. So especially, I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but there is one alien called Cardassian, and it had like muscles on the side of the neck. So I used to call this a Cardassian muscle because it felt like that, right? And so they would do a certain kind of acupuncture on one side. And I go, okay, fine, this feels looser, but now this feels tighter. You haven't evened it. And no, they'll just do one tiny section at a time. And I say, it's all very well you're doing this section, but now you're throwing my equilibrium up even more because you're not bringing balance to it. And I couldn't get them to understand. So they dismissed me as a difficult client. But they didn't help me at all because piecemeal instead of
Yes.
going to the root,
Yes.
right?
That's that's
Right.
right.
Get the
Absolutely.
brain working properly, it will start communicating with the rest of the body.
That's right. And the spine, I mean, it's the gateway to an
Yes.
entire body. All the
Yes.
nerves come out of the spine. I mean,
Right.
you know what? If our spine is trapped, which a huge percent of the population, they have
Hmm.
lower back issues, their spine,
Hmm.
everything. My neck, it's
Hmm.
like, how the heck are you going to have a proper brain function if your neck is completely trapped? And
Exactly.
C7, I've worked with people that on C7, which is the big hump, the very first.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, which are
And
developing.
it is bound. I worked on this elderly fellow in his early 80s that it was like half the size of a golf ball of calcification over his C7 and C6. And this machine will actually go in and start chattering open the calcification because whenever you have inflammation, it's acidity. And we can't be acidic. We need to be slightly alkaline at all times. The only way the body can buffer down acidity to do with inflammation is to pull calcium from the bones. Now you have microparticles of calcium that's in the blood and it's going to find a place to park. And if you are emotionally stressed about the weight of the world on the shoulders or all of these things, it's going to bind right here and it loves the C7. And that area, because, and oh, my neck, it's like, but oh, I feel cracking. Well, the cracking is particles of calcium that have parked itself within that region of the neck. And what this machine does is it opens that up and allows then for the revitalization of the vertebrae. And when for myself, my own personal journey, originally I learned the techniques using my elbow, and it's quite, it's a little bit discomforting to use the elbow to peel open.
Yeah. Yes.
And I was blessed to be able to get this energy wave machine that now I can use the machine, and it's I still
It's
use
not
the
as intrusive,
elbow.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right. And what happens is, as far as my spine was concerned, I had what the Western world would call fused discs because they
Hmm.
were flattened, because I had such a in my lower back, L3, L4, L5, L2, all of that area, they were flat. In the Western world, they would call it fused. Well, they're not fused. They've just lost so much of their calcium because of the inflammation from the injury and the subsequent binding of the erector spinae muscles that are supporting the spine, and they bind like this. And so then how do you get circulation to the
Yes.
cartilage? How do you get circulation and its acidity? So little microparticles of calcium are being pulled out of those vertebrae and buffering down the acidity to do with inflammation, and that flattened them out. But there was still the space. And when
Mm.
I got the work done, the body work done, where it's opened up, peeled away those muscles that were stuck to the spine,
Yeah.
the inflammation, opened them up, got them back to being pliable, expansion and contraction. Now, now you got blood, lymph, and oxygen into the vertebra, into the cartilage. It plumps up the cartilage
Uh-huh.
and rebuilds them. And now I've got bumps on those vertebrae. They're no
Right.
longer flat. And then, what would end up happening, it would end up being that I would, then the doctors would say, well, we need to stick a rod in there because you
Yes.
support. Now you have something foreign in the body. Now you've got a 24/7 inflammatory response because it's like a splinter.
Mm.
So you have more inflammation, more scar tissue. You're just trading off. And that's
Right.
the thing, with surgeries. Surgeries create scar tissue. In the abdomen, that scar tissue will come down 2 inches, and then
Yes.
off of that, adhesions, like the
Yes.
tentacles of a vine. And it'll wrap itself around the spine, the hips, the pubic bone, the intestine, all of
Yes.
here. Wherever it decides to park itself, it'll park it. And that
Yeah.
this machine I have will go in and it will break open that scar tissue and allow the free flow, allow the energy, allow the body to become vibrant like it is that we have so designed to be.
Mm. Yes. Oh God, yes. I do remember that way, way back. I used to be vibrant and everything you've described, all that blockage and everything. I kind of feel at some point in my life I was just picked up like a rag doll, going boom, 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 like as I see my grandson throwing things around. That was me, and it's like it doesn't matter how much mind over matter. Just mind over matter. It's all in your head. No, actually, it's in the body, and the mind is busy trying to work to overcome, but it can't if it's damaged. But we think that because of Western medicine and society as a whole, well, you're damaged. That's it. You're damaged goods. You're damaged. Live with it. Fibromyalgia, no cure for it. It's just manageable. That's it. And just stop talking about it. Nobody's interested. That's the general consensus of it. Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Well, I can't. The pain. And then all you do is piss people off. Then you feel worse for pissing people off, right? It's a
Oh,
spiral attempt going around all the time. And we're constantly looking for answers. Are there answers somewhere that can give me a release from this pain? Because surely there must be. I've done so many modalities as well. Acupuncture was brilliant. And
yeah,
I used to go to a wonderful masseuse that could read my energy and she knew exactly where I was blocked.
yeah.
And with flat hand and not kneading, because with my fascial pain, you can't do the kneading, it's the flat hand, would release that. I'd go to her every 2 weeks and it just kept my body in flow and I could feel I could do so much more. And then unfortunately, I couldn't afford her anymore because it stopped being subsidized. And so that was that. There are answers out there. Are we willing to try them? Now, a lot of people will go, well, it's just a magic wand. How does it really work? Your energy, every single thing around you is energy. It's not
Yes,
just what you plug in,
that's
right?
right.
It's energy is what you can digest and download, right? And all this machine does is harness that energy into a pinpoint where
Yeah,
it can have it go to work. Because if we could actually, like we see in the movies, energy come through our body, then that would be it. But we're not capable of doing that yet. In one day when we get the sixth dimension. But right now, you've got the machine that can harness that energy and take it to where it needs to go, set it off to work, and then it has a domino effect through the body. And the other areas that are damaged and blocked, you can just go there and help them along the way, right? Because the body's capable of healing itself. It just needs help.
That's right. Absolutely. And you know what? The bottom line is, and this is what this doctor of Chinese medicine said to me when I stumbled into his office and he gave me hope, is he said that right now you're here
Yeah,
and you will not stay here. You'll either get better or you'll get worse. And you're on this pivot point here.
yeah,
And I'm here to push it to the better. And I was
right.
like, hallelujah. Thank you
Yes.
because I didn't he was the only one that truly diagnosed exactly what was going on with me because
Mm.
any of the scanning equipment at that time I had to lay down and it
Yes.
would flatten out my sacrum and it would say,
Ah,
well, there was nothing wrong with you, and then I would stand up and it would go like
yeah.
this, and so it was like, so there was no doubt, so they're looking at me kind of like because I didn't look injured because
Yeah,
I was
exactly. And it's all in your head.
like you are. You don't look injured. And you know that I am like really suffering.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the blocks, and that's why I call myself a body work intuitive. Because
Uh,
the bottom line is that I go in and I start mapping. And
yeah.
you can come into me and you can say, just like this woman with the hand, the nerves in the hand, I could decide, okay, well, the hand's the issue, so I'm going to focus on the hand. No, 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 it's not
Mhm.
the hand that's the issue. It's the
Yeah.
entrapment of the brachial plexus nerves that are coming out and
Yes.
the renal and the ulnar nerve, and it's trapped, but it's the result of. It's just
Yeah.
like people have foot problems and then
Yeah.
their toes start doing this and they get hammer toes. Well, it's all calcification because where does the sand fall to in the bottom, in the
Yeah.
ocean? To the
Yeah.
bottom of the ocean. And so when you have bloodborne calcium due to inflammation, because we're inflamed on so many different levels, spiritually, emotionally, and
Yes.
physically,
Yes.
that those little particles will filter down to the feet, and the feet are the furthest from the heart.
Mm.
And then now you have entrapment in the foot, and then
Where
you
does it go?
exactly, and the little calcium, and so then now your feet aren't getting the
Mm.
circulation, and then they just start cutting your toes off, and then eventually you cut your foot off. And what it is that the trap is much higher than the foot. And I go
Yeah.
in there. If somebody's in a lot of pain in a certain area, I can target that and bring down the pain. However, I'll say to them that it's more than the foot.
Yeah.
And if you want this resolved, I can go in and I can open up the dam in the river, but
Yeah.
all of the dams. Because if I open up the dam upriver, what happens is that somebody may come in and they have a hip issue, and I can go in and I can work on the hip, and then they'll go, oh, but now my knee's bothering me.
Yes.
Because the one that's screaming the loudest is the dam
Yes.
upriver.
Yes. Yes.
There's other dams that are being blocked downriver, so I open up the dam upriver, and then I may need to open up the dam downriver, and then the foot, and then now you've got a leg that now is moving and shaking the way it should.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and like my son has rods in him. He smashed his ankle 7 weeks before his wedding. So he was on crutches for his wedding. Literally shattered every bone in his body.
Oh,
And so he's got metal plates in there. I've still got metal plates from when I broke my ankle. He's got a rod in his femur, but he snapped when he was young. So we call him the bionic man because there's so much metal in him now. And I've
yes.
said, arthritis is definitely going to be knocking at your door because it does whenever you've had an injury like that. And it's because, yes, because the chi, the energy, the has nowhere to go. So that's where the inflammation starts playing up. And that's really what arthritis is, isn't it? It's inflammation.
Well, that's just it. And anytime that you have inflammation, you're going to have calcium being pulled from the bones.
Yes.
It parks itself. So arthritis basically is calcium that's collected in the joints. And I can go in with this, and somebody like your son, or when you have plates and rods in, they need something like what it is that I can offer to keep things open so that then
Mm,
the trap, it's going
yeah.
to continue because it's just like a splinter in the body. Is that we have a sliver in the body, and the body will work it out because it's not supposed to be there. When you have a rod or something, it can't work it out, but it's still going to be doing the same process, the inflammatory process, the 24/7. So there's
Yeah.
going to create acidity, which is going to create bloodborne calcium. And that calcium is going to park itself. So the arthritis is the
Mm,
parking of the calcium.
yes.
And then to open it up and keep it open and keep that flow, then you're not going to have that grow in the interim. And
Mm,
and when you talk about pain, there's different. I always ask people, what does your pain feel like? Is it a throbbing
mm,
pain? Is it an aching pain? Is it a stabbing pain? Because all of that pain, it denotes the type of blockage. When
yes.
it's throbbing, it's hitting a wall and it's not coming through. So that's like a wall of scar tissue. When it's aching, it's kind of coming through, but it's not free
Yes.
flow. And stabbing pain is that bound tissue has trapped nerves in it. And with the nerve entrapment, then the little microparticles of calcium start rubbing on the nerves, and then you get stabbing pain, like sciatica.
Yes.
An entrapment of the sciatic nerve, and then those little, because it's inflamed, that region of the tissues, so the nerve gets trapped, and then there's little microparticles of calcium that bind within that tissue, and it's like shards of glass, and it
Yeah.
rubs on, and it feels like glass.
That's my legs. Like my kids, grandkids knock me or anything, and it feels like an electrical current going right through all the time and just screaming, which is so annoying. But yeah, that makes sense. And I know for a long time that I've tried so many different modalities that for me, it has been affordability, on being able to, and also finding people, because I had one woman, she'd been acupuncturing for 36 years and she did wonderful things for me. And then she retired. So it's finding somebody else that you can trust with the needle, because you really want to make sure that that person really knows what they're doing, because they can do more damage than good. Um,
Yes.
so it's with what you're doing, because it is a machine. There's no needles going in. So that's for some people like, oh, I don't want a needle inside of me. There isn't that. And and it's not going to be painful for you to do it, right? Right?
No, what I do is that I work with people as far as their threshold, because when the pulses go in, I like it to be like a little bit uncomfortable, because it's like
Yes.
making,
Because that
making
means it's
a
working.
connection.
Yeah.
How, yes, and but it's not about traumatizing the person.
Mm,
Various areas I can adjust it from a level 4 up to a 10. Well, I've never done anybody at a 10, which is really strong. And I can adjust it in certain areas where there's more tissue depth. I can put up the volume. Even when there isn't tissue depth, when there's nerves that are trapped within that
uh-huh.
tissue, it can be. However, often when I go over it, I may have it at like a 4.5 or a 5, whatever it may be. Then when I go over it the second time, I can bump it up because it's
Mm,
already opening up
yeah.
cells and making it less constrictive and less painful. It's really,
But you're also you're having to negotiate with with the pain warriors, to
yes,
say, don't be threatened by me. All right. I'm here to help. You can stand down.
yes.
Right. And let me get in there and do the healing, because as you said, there is this, why do we have pain? It's to kind of protect ourselves, on our body, and we can just say, okay, it's okay. It's all right now. Your job is done. And let me get in there, release you. You can retire.
Yeah, yeah, retirement. Because when you're in chronic pain like that and you
Yes.
do that, then you become very protective. And I know for
Yeah.
myself, I was very protective. I mean, being around people, I didn't want anybody to
Yes.
bump me because I was healing and I didn't want anybody to do like a hip check thing on me because I knew that
Yes.
that would be detrimental. And it becomes part of who you are.
Yeah.
And when we move
Sensitive. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
When we move through it and when you're talking about the inner work is that 90 there's studies and it's like 91.8% of what happens to us and where we are in our life is to do with our inner work.
Yes.
And every single part of our body has an emotional component.
Yeah.
The liver, anger, the kidneys, abandonment and fear, and all of these areas that have, the stomach. I mean, the stomach holds so much in the intestinal area. We have so many deep, dark secrets in the intestinal area. It's like you make me sick to my stomach,
Yeah.
all these things. And when you said that, the liver, the kidneys,
Hmm.
and the colon, the large intestine and the small intestine. I mean, you go to the doctor and he never asks you how your bowel movements are. The
Yeah.
only time they ask you how your bowel movements is when you're in the hospital. They want to make sure that you've had a bowel movement before they send you out. But other than that, do they ever ask you? No,
No. Do you think that when you release the pain of the body, that also starts releasing the trauma in the stomach?
Well, yes. And, anytime whatever emotional trauma that we've had within our lives, if
Yeah.
we've not dealt with it, it will get stored in the tissues. And I've
Right.
had so many emotional releases from my own perspective as well as my clients.
Hmm.
What can happen is that when the tissues open up, it lets go of the emotion.
Mm.
Absolutely, 100%. And I've had emotional responses from my clients that they have gone into a fetal position and let
Hmm.
it go out, and then they want to go, I don't know what that is. And I said, it doesn't matter.
Not yet, just as long as
Don't,
it's gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't start analyzing it
Yes.
because then it'll come back in
Yeah.
and you
Oh, yeah.
start
You've just opened
reliving
the
it.
door for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
we,
Yeah.
we don't want to relive it.
No.
Just let
No.
it go. And if you have a flashback later that says, oh yeah, you go, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just let it go, right?
It's
And
it's it's unwanted energy,
that's right.
right? It's energy that's holding on to stuff that really wants to be released, but doesn't know how to get out.
That's right.
Right. So it manifests in pain, it manifests in disease, it manifests in traumas, mental problems, everything else, because it's looking for an exit. Right. The
Yes,
trauma wants out. And so we need to give it a way out.
that's right. And I also do this miracle mastery work, which is about energy work, and it's about pinpointing where in the body. We all have things that we work with, whether it's sadness or
Hmm.
whether it's confidence or whatever it happens to be within our lives. And I do this miracle mastery work with my clients too as well because I'm encouraging them to let go of whatever it is that they're working on at this point in time. And any time that I do this work with them, I get them to pinpoint in the body because when they
Yeah.
sit with whatever the emotion is, then there is a hot spot in the body. And some of my clients can't even connect with a hot spot in their body because they have been so disconnected from here down
Mm,
due to pain, due to trauma, due to whatever
mm.
reason that they're disconnected. And it's like trying to get them reconnected because we need to get them connected to their body so they can release the trauma,
Yeah.
release the anguish, release the pain.
Yes.
And there is a pain point. There's a pain point in the body associated with whatever emotional component that we're trying to work through. And many individuals can't even connect to that point. And that's how disconnected we've become.
Yes. Unfortunately, on so many levels.
Yeah.
It's also like, I realized this on my own kind of soul healing journey. You all of a sudden you have a flashback or you have a feeling, and you kind of whatever state you used to be in is there again. And it hasn't come back. All it is just another cellular level that needs to be released. And this is the time where you acknowledge that. Where is it hurting? Did it hit me in the stomach? Did it hit me here? Did it hit me there? And just basically say it's okay. It's okay. I see you. Um, Thank you for the lesson you gave me, but you're no longer needed, right? And it's also a good thing to think to look back, which I'm sure you can with so many chapters in your life of how far you've come. Each chapter took you further forward. And it's like, and that's the thing about life is that, we're not chapter one and end of book and it's 500 pages. No, each chapter is a chapter in our lives. And for every time that you've invested in you, in looking at your own recovery, you have learned and learned and learned. And you probably wouldn't be able to truly understand what you're doing now had you not taken the journey of everything else you've been through before.
Oh, 100%. And it still goes on.
Yes.
Because if anybody says that they don't have anything to work on, run.
Yeah. Yeah. Denial. You're living
That
here.
is awesome.
No, no, no. I'm ignoring the pain knocking on my door. Yes, yeah, I know.
Like, I don't have anything to work on.
Yeah.
Okay. You know,
Resistance is futile.
and it's really interesting because after I had the staph infection in my uterus, I was given a drug called gentamicin. And gentamicin has side effects. And one of the side effects is loss of balance, and the other side effect is loss of hearing. And I lost my bass tone hearing from being given that drug.
Wow.
And nobody said anything. And it would have been really lovely if somebody would
Yes.
have said, I gave you this, so maybe I could have done something before the year and a half went by and realized that I had lost this hearing. And I and I've worked on it as a lot. And then I ended up doing this mastery. I got this person to do a mastery technique on me. I said, okay, I want to work on my ears because they feel like they're plugged all the time. And
Mm.
I ended up doing some work on all of the emotional component that's sitting inside of these ears. And
All the
it
things that they've heard they didn't want to hear.
Well, that's just it. And the frustration
Yes.
associated with people thinking that you're not listening. Well, I'm not
Yes.
hearing. And
Yes.
and all these things, right? And then just trying to like focus on so hard, and then just giving up. And I just forget it. I can't even be in this conversation
Yeah.
because I can't hear you. And
Yeah.
and all of that had built within my ears. And so I did it and I couldn't believe the emotion that came out. And what was trapped in there from an emotional perspective, and how afterwards they don't feel, especially my right one, I still need to do some more work on my left, but it doesn't feel as plugged because there
Hmm.
was so much emotional layering within
Yes.
that region. I'm not hearing 100% by no means. However, whatever it is that we're dealing with, there is an emotional component that's sitting
Absolutely.
in, and
Yeah.
we don't even know. And I didn't even realize that.
Exactly. And we don't because we're not taught it, right? I mean, you have physical disease or problems like your spine happening in a car accident, right? So that was a physical affront on your body. But people
Yeah.
don't realize how much our emotional it is really destroying us from the inside out. And we're so, conditioned to band-aid or just do things from the outside in. And that's the way we've been conditioned to live. Life is living from the inside out. It's being connected to your soul, your heart, your spirit, for you to have clarity of mind because of your connection to soul, heart, and spirit wisdom. And when we come from that space, we will always live in truth and in presence. But unless we're willing to go in and do what we need to do, in order to clear out the old, in order to be present in what we need right now, to do what we need to do right now. And if we're still chasing an outside answer, then we're never going to actually cure the inside. But with the tool that you have, it's releasing not only the energy in the body for the body to start healing, but it's also releasing the emotional energy that caused the blockage in the first place. And it's allowing, when your body's in flow, everything is in flow. You all those things that normally would have traumatized you, you go,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
this
right.
this door's closed. You can't come in because you're in a state of such inner peace that you're
Yeah,
just not going to open the door to it anymore. You know how to handle it.
that's right. Absolutely, and very well said. And the bottom line is that the vessel that we have, this body,
Yeah.
houses our spirit.
Absolutely. We're spiritual beings
The
having a
spirit
human
doesn't,
journey.
when this
You know?
vessel checks out, the spirit moves on.
Yes.
And you know, the bottom line is that energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And
Yes.
we're energetic beings.
Hmm.
When we go within and truly find that love
Yeah.
for self, and we
Yes.
become disconnected. And we become disconnected on many levels.
Mm,
Become disconnected because we've had traumas, you know, physical, emotional traumas as children, whatever it happens to be. Then we have, you know, injury traumas, and then we start to dislike the
mm,
vessel. And when
hmm.
we dislike the vessel, we become disconnected. And we
Yeah.
don't even know we do it. We don't like wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to dislike you, body. No, no,
Yeah.
no. It comes in over time. And we don't even know what it feels like to feel free
No.
within this beautiful spirit. And that's what we deserve. We deserve the free flow of our spirit.
Yes.
And when we can reduce the pain and find modalities that work for you, modalities that are truly about letting that spirit fly. And I know from my own perspective and what it is that I do and what it is that I bring to the table, I am like absolutely thrilled that I'm in this place because I
Mm,
never gave up. My
yeah.
spirit was too strong.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
and it was, you know, and it knew that it had a journey.
Yeah.
I knew that it had a path to live. And the path was, and I never launched myself as a natural health practitioner until I knew that I could truly help somebody. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be a supplement pusher. I have
Uh-huh.
nutraceuticals that help get the energy. You know, I have nutraceuticals that are actual life crystals that are pure ATP to the body, to the
Mm,
mitochondria, and things that actually, you know, help detox you
mm,
without putting you into a detox crisis
right.
and really help move things so that then we can have that spirit flow,
Hmm.
open up the pathways because the dams in the river, that's what Chinese medicine does, is it
Hmm.
opens up the dam. But when you're dealing with scar tissue, like my doctor of Chinese medicine, you know, it was like a year and a half old. So it
Mm.
was quite the dam. So
Yes.
trying to get these two needles where it's like, you know, the body's created a new pathway because there's a dam here and the body's trying, so it, you know, it's like, come this way, baby, come this way, let's break, you know, get a little trickle, let's get a little. That's why it took him 3.5 years. I had more needles put in me 6 months into the program. I mean, I was going 3 days a week, and he
Hmm.
was in the bottom of my tailbone into all the
Yes.
orifices, all the openings of my sacrum, like everything. I mean, at point in time that he used the finest needles because all my muscles were in spasm, that he had to get between the muscle fibers to prevent them from spasming so
Mm,
that I would like raise up on that table. And
mm,
6 months in, it was like I got needle shy, and I was like, I don't know if I could do this anymore, but
right.
it was like I had to because there was no
Yeah.
other choice. And
Yeah.
so the inner work, I had to go
Yes.
in and say, okay, Sharon, whew, you could do this. You can do this. You know, like that wheelchair is not,
It's
but
no option. No option. I'm not going there. Yeah. And that means that, yes, we say this all the time. You've got to be uncomfortable to get comfortable.
yes,
Right. And that means that, I always say the people I interview that have had, the most horrific things happen them in life. And most people think, well, they're totally justified to give up. But those are the people that find their courage, their strength, and their abilities. Right. Everything you faced, you found your strength, you found your courage, you found your abilities, and it made you even more inquisitive that there must be something else, there must be something more. I'm here for a bigger purpose. I haven't gone through all of this for no reason. And as I said, they become the angels. They become the beacon of light for others, like yourself. You become that beacon of light for others, saying, "I don't have to be in pain for the rest of my life. I can get rid of the pain. I don't have to be in this trauma." And we've also got to remember that trauma, if we don't release it, multiplies. Right? Something that was, a tiny little seed now is a full-grown forest inside of you. Can you even remember what it was that traumatized you? No. It's just that the trauma, because it didn't get released, it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger and unreasonable. It's laid itself at home here, and we've got to show it the exit.
that's right. And most of us, you know, there's a saying, I think Rumi has a saying that, you know, you need to live the pain to let the
Yes.
pain be free. Something along those lines.
Yep.
And so most of us run from pain
Yeah.
because pain has become, nobody wants to put their hand up and say, "Hey, I want to have pain." Absolutely not. However, pain has become is your friend. It is the
Mm.
GPS that tells you that there is something bigger here. Emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, whatever it is. It is our GPS. So it's saying, "Hey, there's some work that needs to be done here."
Yeah.
And you better wake up and decide you're going to do something about it because it's going to be like just what you said.
Yeah.
It's going to become this
Mm.
colossal thing that's just like, whoa, I pushed away all the trauma, and then you have a grandchild or something, and something triggers, and then you just like you
Yeah.
fall apart or whatever it is,
And
right?
trauma invites other friends in.
That's right.
Oh, you've got trauma in your ankle because you broke it. Oh, come and join the party, right? So and then it just goes up even bigger. So
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely. And we don't need to live that way. And the
no,
tools and modalities that I have, I am just overjoyed. And we speaking of joy, we deserve to live our joy.
yes,
And what is our joy? We don't even know. I say to somebody, "What's
no,
your joy?" I have no idea. Because the thing is that their soul's journey, they can't listen to the whispers of their soul's whisper because of the fact that they're traumatized, either emotionally, physically, or spiritually, or all three, and
yes,
all two, or whatever it is, right? And that's what my guiding force is. And I will take on clients that are willing to work with me, and I collaborate with them. And
yeah,
I go in and I map and I use my intuition because I know the body and I know it
yeah.
really well because of my own personal journeys and how I've overcome so many things and still working on others and still perfecting it, and still I
Mm.
don't do anything on anybody else that I haven't done on myself.
Yes, yes.
And it's not a
But the
miracle.
thing is, you've learned to be fine-tuned to actually know. Is it rather like this massage therapist I had? She used to have me come in, like bend over, walk. She would know where my alignment is out. When she was doing the massage, okay, this is blocked. She would know how to do it because she was in tuned. You've learned that attunement, right? You can ask the questions, but when you're actually doing it, this part of the body, or this is where the problem is, and that is the thing. You've tapped into the energy wave, and the energy is now speaking to you, so that you know where to go. Hey, 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 Sharon, would you release me over here, please? And that's what you're doing. You're tuning in, you're listening, and you're going over there. How does that feel? Oh, great. Let me go.
Absolutely. It's really a beautiful journey, and I encourage people. I mean, even if you want to reach out and just have a discussion about it, and I can help people from afar too. It doesn't necessarily just need to be immersion therapy as far as I can have conversations, we can look at nutrition, I can
Yes,
do the emotional work online, all of these things to help get
yes,
better clarity, to reduce the pain from the standpoint of recognizing. And I travel. I mean, my machine travels, and I can
yes.
travel places as well. And I do
Right, good. And of
on
course, she's
planes and
it.
everything.
Yeah, right. Oh, planes, ships and mobiles. You're
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
She's
All of
just not
them.
into teleporting yet.
Yeah,
That's to come. She's in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island, BC, folks, which is just a ferry ride away from Vancouver. You can make it a 2-week trip and have a treatment with her over a couple of weeks, and you'll feel a lot better when you go home. Plus, you'll have a great time in exploring the beautiful Nanaimo and the Vancouver Island in the meantime as well. But she's also a co-author. So how about telling us about the books you were in?
Oh, yes. I About 14 years ago, when I became a vegetarian, I co-authored these two books, Fitness Transforms and Food Transforms. And this beautiful heart cloud right here was a picture that I took when I was on a cruise. And the missing link, O2, which is oxygen, it says it on the same on the Fitness Food Transforms. It really is about live foods. When we
Mm,
cook the living daylights out of our foods, and then they're lacking enzymes and
mm,
oxygen, minerals, and they're very simple books. It was about 14 years ago that I ended up doing that, and I do have them offered on my website, and you can go to sharon-cusack.com/food transforms, or you could go to /fitness transforms. And it goes in and it talks about energy, it talks about oxygen, it talks about simplicity, about loving ourselves.
Mm.
And the most important person for us to love is us, first and foremost.
How
Before
can we love anyone else if we don't know the love of self, right? Yeah.
right.
Yes.
That's right. And it's not selfishness,
No.
it's selflessness. And when
Yes.
we love ourselves, we are not selfish. And that term that is being used is being misused because the thing is that I can only love another, like you said,
Mm.
if I
E-
love myself.
Exactly. Now, can you spell your name so people know how to, for
Yes.
those that are just listening?
Yes, it's Sharon, Sharon dash Cusack, Cusack.com /fitness transforms /food transforms. And I do also work with other practitioners and I do teach the work that I'm doing. And I am encouraging other practitioners to come forward because you have a wealth of wisdom within whatever it is that you're doing, whatever modality. However, if we can collaborate and get more people to
Mhm.
really understand what goes on when it happens with inflammation and how it binds the body, then we can spread this, the ripple effect. And I am all about the ripple effect. I don't
Yeah.
own this. I was
Yeah.
given this gift on my journey, and this
Yes.
gift I want to give to others so that then they can have effect on other people. And I'm in British Columbia, Canada on beautiful Vancouver Island. If there's a clinic that you want me to work out of, I can come to your area. We can work together. We can work with, chiropractors. I can work with Chinese medical doctors. And if we can get that blockages from the physical blockages,
Yeah.
then how much better is the acupuncture? How much better is the massage? And I do collaborate with massage therapists because they have clients that they know that need more help than their massage. And then they can come in and really just open up the body and give them
Yeah.
the relaxation that they so deserve.
Yeah, you can unlock all those knots and dams so they can get in there and actually do the work to help that chi and that energy get through their body. Collaboration, the big C, I love that. Cohesive, compassion, collaboration, coexistence, all of that. Two words I don't like is compare and competitive. They don't belong with humans. Don't compare, don't compete with others. There's plenty of room for everyone. You're just a beautiful instrument, and you're available for many orchestras. Right. So that's what it's about.
And let's create this
Yeah.
beautiful rhythm of life and sing the dance that everybody wants to dance because
Yes.
that's what this is. And I don't own this. And I want to, I want to create this movement of the wellness,
Yeah.
you
And,
know?
the thing about the wellness is that when you're well within yourself,
Yes,
mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul, you will now actually find your purpose.
yes,
We're all here to contribute. We're all here to share and be a part of each other. And when we do that, we have actually raised our whole frequency, our whole vibration, the love vibration. And we now pass that on
yes,
lovingly to other people. So now we actually become the solution that is causing the pain in the world.
yes.
Because, it's people say, well, I'm only one person, what can I do? Heal you, you start to heal others because of you. And that's, it's the point. You also have another site called divinehealing.health.
Yes, I do. Divinehealing.health. And it really is about our divine healing. I mean, we are divine beings. And
Hmm.
when we can truly tap into that, yes, divinehealing.health. And I have all my services on there. And I have some free coaching sessions. I have a 20-minute and chronic pain now coaching session that's 20 minutes long that we can dive deep into what it is that's going on with you. And I can talk about it. And it's free of charge. And we can actually go in and just really unfold what it is and let's take a step forward and
Yeah.
thrive in 2025. No more
Yes.
pain, no more suffering. Let's just do it so that then our soul's path can actually be really more than a whisper. It can be a shout.
Yes. Well, a harmony. I think, there's a lot of shouting going on out there. Let's be
In
let's
harmony.
be a harmonious voice out there.
And,
So
and
you
sing this
have a
song.
free giveaway, the free end chronic pain now, so they can go to reduce pain reducesuffering.com to book the session, right?
Right. Reduce pain, reduce suffering.com. Yes.
Excellent. People can reach out to you at Sharon at divinehealing.health. They can also find you on Facebook, Sharon Cusack. Remember, Cusack. And they can reach out to you there as well. And,
Yes.
really, when we're looking at it is, your health is your choice. We don't always choose what happens to us, but what we can choose is how do we empower ourselves to seek what will help us. And it's never, 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 never about just the one thing, right? If you break a bone, yes, you've got to go in and heal the bone. That's the first thing you need to do. Does it need a rod? Does it need glue back together? Whatever the case is. But you've got the trauma around breaking the bone. Then you've got you making sure that you don't build up calcium or fascia or any other problems around it. You've got other things that are doing where it's limiting you to doing what you want to do because the bone is healing. So it's not just the bone. We've got to address the whole in order to have the healing. Because when we don't address the whole, that's when all the other things they go, hey, what about me? Right? You didn't pay attention to me. And it will get your attention one way or the other. So you better pay attention to it now.
That's right. Because the knot gets stronger.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
it's like we drive,
Fisherman's knot.
when we
Unbreakable.
drive our car to work or whatever, and we
Yeah.
get to work and it's like, oh my goodness, my car's like there's a knock in my car or whatever. And then that becomes the main focus and you'll go and spend thousands of dollars on your
Yeah.
car. You can't do without your car. Well, you
Yeah.
can fix the car and you can
Yeah.
fix the body. But if it gets to the point where it's like, and the body is meant to heal. I mean, it's never too late.
No.
Meant to heal. And that's and all we need to do is just give it that little bit of encouragement to move forward, move
Yeah.
forward, move forward.
As you said, we invest in everything else, but do we invest in ourselves? And if you need to invest time and money and energy in order to release your energy, that it can now work for you and your body can actually work for you, right? Now you have an optimized vehicle that
Yes.
really can divinely
Yes.
embrace life. But
Yes.
we've got to release that pain. Pain is, you're not meant to suffer. Yes, we have struggles in life, and those struggles are to very often to show us a path, show us a way, for us to discover our abilities and our truth and what we're capable of. But we don't have to suffer. That is an option. There is always something that can help you with your suffering. And Sharon is here to do that for you. I'm certainly booking a session because I'm tired of pain being like constant. It's not even a companion. It's an unwanted partner, but it's time for a divorce pain.
Choo choo.
Absolutely. Here's the boot.
Yeah, choo
Out you
choo. It's
go.
time.
Exactly.
You've had your time in this hotel.
Too much time, far too much time. I've got some living to do, so out you go. Definitely release the chi.
Yeah. And the other thing is that for the most part, as our body becomes entrapped in this scar tissue and in this inflammation, that we don't even realize as to what it feels like when it's not.
Yes,
Because it comes in slowly. It doesn't just one day I'm like
right.
all loosey goosey, and the next day I'm like, it's not like that.
No.
And then when I see it all the time, it's like, whoa, I didn't know that my neck should feel that way,
Yeah.
or for yourself, because it becomes a way of life.
Oh,
And
it's
so
completely. I'm never out of pain. Five,
that's
if
right.
ever I'm at a level 5, that's a good day,
Yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
you're so used to pain, I've partnered with pain because I've been trying different ways to release it and not being able to kind of release it completely. Maybe relieve it, but not release it. And
yes,
so it's time for the release, right? Let
absolutely,
the kraken out and
absolutely,
not back in. I'm
absolutely.
coming to see you, most definitely. So we had coffee and you said about 2025. You have a word for 2025.
Time to thrive in 2025.
I love it. All right. I think that, it's a good mark to say this year I am going to thrive, mind, body, heart, spirit, and soul, and I'm going to do what I need to do in order to make sure I can thrive, because thrival is where it's at for 2025. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for taking your journey and following your heart and your purpose and always seeking what else something can do. And this is such a big thing that you have found. I've done a lot of energy things, but They've never kind of lasted. They've never kind of completely broken down, or they can send a little bit of energy, but it's not enough to really get at it. So now that there's something there that can disperse it, like a good dishwasher detergent, get rid of the grease, release all the pain. Absolutely. So thank you for taking that journey, and we need you. And so many people need to know there is hope. And that's the biggest thing first, when they know I don't need to be in pain like this anymore. All right. All you have to do is just reach out, and she's there to have a chat with you and take the journey. All
Take
right.
my hand.
Take a hand. And
Take
it's
it.
not a handout, it's a hand up.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely. Very
Because you
nice.
still got to do the work, but she's that partner in doing that work to make it easier, and having that someone there for you. That's what it's about. We're not meant to do it alone.
That's
There's
right.
always somebody there to help you. Thank you so much, love. And
Thank you.
this is a great Christmas show to end out on and to embrace the new year. So listen to the show. Remember, I'm a very big advocate for podcast parties. This is a podcast that you need to share with other people that you know are in pain. What have they got out of it? Share what everyone got out of it. And then what are you empowered to do now? Right? And remember, you can reach out to Sharon at divinehealing.health. You can also take the free product here, reduce pain, reduce suffering, .com, to book your session. Be that person that's going to, listen, learn, and apply. The application is you're going to do something about it. Reach out. Okay. Thank you so much, hun. And to
Thank you.
everyone else out there, remember, um, pain is an option. We don't have to live in it. There are ways that we can come out of it, but we've got to be willing to do the work and to say yes, and want to move forward from it. Don't become victimized by the pain. Let it go. Until next time, folks, bye for now.
Bye.
We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there, and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.